It's time once again for That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ, where business becomes show business. Now, live in studio and promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy, your host, Jamie Meloni.
Hello, everybody, and welcome yet again to another episode of That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. If you're catching me on the air for the first time, I invite you to tune in here every weekday at 8 a.m. as my show aims to promote the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Learn more about my show also over at TampaBayRadio.com and catch past shows of That Business Show with Jamie Meloni over there. And you can also find me on iTunes now, so be sure to look me up over there. And also, I am a realtor with Coldwell Banker in the Tampa Bay market, and also on my site, TampaBayRadio.com. You can catch all of my property listings as well as most of my pre-listed properties. Just head over there to the home page. And also, if you're in the market to sell your home, there is a link over there to click on, and I'll send you over a free home valuation, and maybe you want to put your home onto the market. So please reach out to me, Jamie, at TampaBayRadio.com or via my site. Contact form at TampaBayRadio.com. Got a great show planned for you today. Got two guests going to be talking with today. We're going to be talking with Elton Rivas, the founder of OneSpark and National Crowdfunding Festival here in just a moment. And also on the second half of the show, we're going to be talking with brand strategist Sarah K. Softe with SCA Media Productions. But let's go ahead and bring on our first guest. Elton Rivas is a serial entrepreneur, triathlete, and speaker, and is well-versed in the challenges of launching a company. Elton is the founder, co-founder, and has advised businesses ranging from construction to footwear to tech startups. Elton has a background in corporate marketing, but left that world behind with a goal to reinvigorate the local business climate up in Jacksonville, Florida. To that end, he has co-founded OneSpark, a 5-day event for creators where they can connect with the people and resources they need to make their great ideas a reality. OneSpark is the world's crowdfunding festival. Elton, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to speak with myself and my listeners. So, first of all, Elton, let's talk a little bit about what is OneSpark.
Sure. OneSpark is the world's largest crowdfunding festival, and that's a great brand statement, but it doesn't really explain it too much. So let's break it down for you and for the listeners as to what that means. For those that are familiar with crowdfunding and have heard of sites like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Rocket Hub, etc., OneSpark is basically taking crowdfunding offline and doing it in person over a period of time. And so we have hundreds of different projects that are showcased in a 20-square block venue in downtown Jacksonville. And the reason that these projects showcase is they've got a chance to win one of 12 different $15,000 category awards, some bonus awards that's in there, and then $150,000 that's distributed by public votes. But the real big thing is that you can do crowdfunding live and in person, which just makes it a much more efficient process because you can actually walk up to somebody, look them in the eye, and talk to them about their project versus having to email back and forth and things like that online. So in a nutshell, that's what OneSpark is, and that's coming up April 7th through the 12th this year in Jacksonville, and you can learn all about it at OneSpark.com.
Let's back up a little bit and talk a little bit more about what crowdfunding is. That's a term that's kind of come into the marketplace over the last couple of years, and I think there's been some changes in some laws a little bit with regard to crowdfunding. I'm not certain if you're able to speak on that, but tell me a little bit more specifically about what that term is, crowdfunding.
Sure, and there's really two different types of kind of crowdfunding that's out there and language around it. The one that most people are aware of are things where somebody is funding a project or they're funding a film or a work of art or something like that, and generally they're doing that by sourcing a large group of people that are pledging a contribution for some sort of an incentive or a reward. As an example of that, maybe you've got a new widget that you're launching and you want to give $5 to that. Maybe as a reward for that, you get some sort of social brand mention. Some great big examples of things that were crowdfunded are like Oculus Rift, which is something that was purchased for a couple $2 billion by Facebook recently. But they started as a crowdfunded project and a crowdfunded product, where in essence they kind of pre-sold that product.
What is that? You said Oculus Rift. I'm not familiar with that. What is that specifically?
Yeah, it's a 3D immersive visual console, I guess is the best way to say it. I mean, you could almost picture some sort of kind of futuristic space helmet, but that's really what Oculus Rift is. And there's a number of those different types of things that have been crowdfunded. So that's rewards-based crowdfunding. The other piece that you talked about on the rules and regulations that the SEC is still in kind of a gray area period to rule on is what we would call equity-based kind of crowd investing or crowd equity investing. So it's a different type of crowdfunding where companies now have the ability to publicly state that they're raising funds, and then you can have investors right now that are accredited, which means they've got $2 million net worth or more, or they've got $200K in annual income over the past few years that can invest in those publicly announced investments. And there's still a lot more to come on the crowd equity investment side, but that's kind of the breakdown between the two different types of crowdfunding right now.
Take me back through the history of OneSpark. How long ago did you found this company, and what was your motivations in bringing this company to the marketplace?
Yeah, it's about 2.5 years old right now. We're going to be going into our third major festival here in Jacksonville. And myself and a couple other co-founders, Dennis Eusebio and Vera Cruzzetti, got together and, really just had this pain point that a lot of smaller markets have around the world, which it's very hard to get great ideas connected with the resources that they need. Variety of different reasons for that. There's no infrastructure. There's not the right pathways. The market's not mature enough, or maybe there's too noise in a market. And we thought there could just be a better way to do that in a short period of time. Looked at, crowdfunding as a good foundation to do that, which it has the potential to be one of the most disruptive forces in the ways that ideas get funding in our lifetime. And so we said, hey, let's put people together, because at the end of the day, people invest in people first and foremost. Let's do it in a festive atmosphere where, people will want to go and enjoy and have kind of art and culture complemented with, startups and tech and science and things like that. Give it the foundation of crowdfunding and launch. And in the first year, we had over 130,000 attendees show up and said, hey, I think we're onto something here. Let's see what we can do again in the second cycle, and now as we're getting ready for year 3.
Now, what type of creators and entrepreneurs can participate in this festival?
Yeah, it's open, and we wanted to keep it intentionally open. There are 6 primary categories: art, education, health and science, music, social good, and technology. So those are the 6 primary categories that somebody could enter a project around. And it's got to be some sort of a project or business that's under $1 million a year in operating revenue, so that they're focused on very early stage type ideas. And it's really simple to enter. You just go to onespark.com, click on register, fill out your project, set up your rewards, and then the kind of a unique process that happens is we have 80 different venues in downtown Jacksonville that will host these creators during that period of time. And right now it's actually open. It's called matchmaking, and that's exactly what it sounds like, where the venues and the creators match together to see where they're going to be showcased during the OneSpark Festival in April.
Very nice. Now, how much capital investment is available at OneSpark this year? I mean, you have the entrepreneurs pitching their ideas and their products, but I'm sure you have a number of investors that are there looking, at these people too. So tell me a little bit about the other side of this with the investors.
We do. And so, what we've talked about is kind of the public-facing side of everything with the award structure, the crowdfunding, the public vote, all those things. This year, and we actually just announced this last week, we've got $3.5 million in investment capital that's pledged to creators, and creators will be able to apply for that on March 2nd through the 20th. The thing that's really unique about that and shows that there's good quality deal flow is that we've got a number of investment partners that are returning from the prior year because they saw so many good opportunities for early stage startup investing. So really excited about that $3.5 million that's announced for our creators at OneSpark this year.
Very nice. Now, when I looked at this initially, I'm thinking, like, is this like a Shark Tank atmosphere where people go and pitch their ideas in front of, the sharks? Or is this kind of more like a festival where people have like booths set up and people just kind of walk around and see what they have to offer? Tell me a little bit about the atmosphere.
Yeah, the easiest way to kind of immerse yourself, if you close your eyes and think about it, you go to a festival or kind of a fair setting, and there's a lot of activity that's going on. You may see on one street corner an artist performing some sort of, art installation. On another one, there's a tech startup pitching. On another one, around the corner, we've got what we call, pitch decks, which are stages where the creators actually lock down time to pitch out to the public. And so that's kind of the atmosphere that you go. There's food, there's drinks, there's music, there's entertainment acts that are going on. And, it's been called a party with a purpose, and that's a good way to kind of describe it. At the same time, there are investment meetings going on in offices throughout downtown with these types of creators that are, longer. Those are, 20, 30-minute meetings where they're sitting down, talking with investors, pitching to them, getting feedback, and, potentially doing some deals.
Now, what's a plan that's new for OneSpark this year that you haven't done in past years? So what's new coming up this year?
I think there's a couple key new points that we've learned from the first 2 years. One of those is this year we are allowing the creators to do true rewards-based crowdfunding. In the first 2 years, it was just a contribution to a project. This year, they can set up their own rewards, and that's a huge incentive for people to contribute to projects, and hopefully for these creators to raise a lot more money for their projects. That's piece one. I think piece two, the award structure's up, so there's more money on the table. In total, last year it was $310, this year it's $350. The $3.25 million was pledged last year from venture capitals. This year it's $3.5. And a single big thing is we've pulled out the OneSpark Speaker Summit to be all day on Tuesday the 7th, so that all the creators and their teams can actually attend that as well. And we've got some phenomenal speakers, including the co-founder of Priceline.com, VP of Marketing for Eventbrite, and a number of others that you can see at OneSpark.com.
Very nice. Hold that point. Got to take a quick break, but coming back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more with Elton Rivas. He's the co-founder of OneSpark, a national crowdfunding festival that'll be going on in April up in Jacksonville. And if you're just tuning in, you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING.
Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage want you to experience the thrill of one-day underwriting and the comfort in knowing your loans will be clear to close in record time. While the competition looks to a lost closing date, Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage focus on their 12-day clear to close. They do this by utilizing their world-class operations staff to underwrite your loan within 6 hours, process your loan in 12 days, and have your loan closed in time. Underwritten in 6 hours, cleared to close in 12 days. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage. In the market for a reverse mortgage? Contact Access Reverse, a local company with personalized service in the Bay Area. Call them at 727-347-0305 or visit accessreverse.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. They'll come to your home and speak with you about the best options for your reverse mortgage. Plus, they offer the lowest closing costs. Don't just get a reverse mortgage. Get the right reverse mortgage with Access Reverse. Visit accessreverse.com. NMLS number 4566. Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com.
This report is brought to you by iHeartMedia.
Looking for a way to increase your business? Ever thought about advertising on radio? iHeartMedia can customize a campaign to meet your specific needs. Call 844-BUY-RADIO. That's 844-BUY-RADIO. Or go to iHeartMedia.com.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center.
US 19 is still shut down in both directions at Harn Boulevard. Also, Roosevelt Boulevard still has one lane blocked eastbound after US 19 because of an earlier crash. Serious crash still on Belcher, just south of Bel Air. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Uterwick Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
The clouds will clear out and it will be windy and cool with a high only in the high 50s today. Mostly clear tonight and chilly, the low getting down to 37 with a wind chill advisory after 10 o'clock tonight. And tomorrow, sunny and cold, a high of only 54.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Hello again, everybody, and thanks for staying tuned in to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Currently talk with Elton Rivas, the founder of OneSpark, a national crowdfunding festival that'll be going on in April up in Jacksonville. And Elton, I want to know a little bit more. I mean, this is pretty impressive. I'm over at the website checking this out, onespark.com, and you've got a lot of big name sponsors and a lot of people that are be attending this festival. How did you get the word out and grow this event, to the level that it is in such a short period of time, just a couple of years?
Aren't we all supposed to have those wonderful strategic answers for that? I think that part of it is a bit of timing. I think part of it is a bit of strategic focus on the way that the festival was designed. And so, last year we had 600 creator projects. We had about 70 venues, and that builds a groundswell and a grassroots movement of people that are communicating on OneSpark's behalf and on their own behalf to drive attendance into the market. Second to that, we've got first mover advantage right now where, there's nothing else that's like this that we've been able to identify of this size, scale, and scope for a in-person crowdfunding festival. So that gives us a true, unique value proposition compared to, just going to a tech conference or just going to an art show. This kind of cross-pollinates those different disciplines and makes it really unique and special and something that people just need to experience to understand.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of in, the age of the entrepreneur over the next 10 years. We're seeing a lot of, focus on this. We're seeing a lot more shows such as myself, and I've seen several other people kind of doing this format that you didn't see this several years ago. So I think, there's a lot more attention and focus on that entrepreneurial spirit. So I think that has a lot to do with the success that you're seeing with your OneSpark festival here. And but let's talk a little bit more. Why is it beneficial for entrepreneurs to participate in an event like OneSpark?
Well, I totally agree with you on the entrepreneurial movement, and the biggest thing that our entrepreneurs that have participated over the first 2 years have said the benefit of OneSpark is, sure, they get some capital, sure, they get some connections, but number one, they get immediate market validation from tens of thousands of people for whatever their product, service, or pitch actually is. And being able to do that in a very short period of time, over 5 days, and at the end of that cycle, being able to retweak or pivot their business based on that feedback is just so efficient and super valuable for entrepreneurs at OneSpark.
Now, I see there's also on your website, there's 4 different ways people can participate, whether it's a creator, sponsor, volunteer, voter. Tell me a little bit about the different ways that you can participate in this event.
Yeah, so we've talked about becoming a creator and actually showcasing your project at the festival, and that deadline is February 25th, so we encourage people to get signed up for it. The second piece of that, we have a volunteer army. I mean, we grow from a staff of about 10 to 12 people to about 1,000 with volunteers here in the next month or so, and it's a great experience for people to volunteer. The other big piece, obviously our business model right now, it takes a lot to put on something of this size that's free for the public to attend. And so sponsors, we still have a few different sponsor availabilities that people can reach out to us at. And then the last piece that you talked about with being a voter, this is one of those times where, your vote really matters, and you can go and distribute $150,000 based on your vote, and you can just get the OneSpark app either in the App Store or for Google Play. That'll be available in mid-March. And then show up at the festival. You can vote and contribute directly to projects, and everything is there. So voters, again, a huge part of the experience in giving that market feedback to the creators as well.
Now, you mentioned the OneSpark app. Tell me a little bit more about this.
Yeah, the simple premise of it is, you should be able to get to OneSpark, and if you pre-register, like you register as a voter online, you can do that and create your account there. Download the app, you get to OneSpark. You can search for creators. You can look at all the different venues. You can find out where things like the 4-block food village or the beer villages or the entertainment stages are. But the simple purpose of it is to be able to vote and contribute directly to these creators. And we try to make it very simple for folks to do that, where you show up at OneSpark, download the app, and in about a minute you're ready to go voting and contributing to creator projects.
Now, talk a little bit about how people register and the deadlines for getting involved in the festival.
Sure. First deadline that's coming up right now is for creators, and there's just a small registration fee. It's $95. You go to onespark.com, and you can set up your project. And you can actually tweak that project and some of the profile information, for another month or so before we print out all the event guides. So that's deadline number one that's coming up. The next thing that's coming up after that, we talked about the capital investments, and that's going to close out on March 20th. That'll open on March 2nd and close out on March 20th. And then after that, for anybody that's not interested in being a creator but just wants to come and maybe see or support creators or just have kind of a great weekend getaway, there's a number of great hotel room deals and blocks for attendees that's all at onespark.com as well. And some of those rates are coming up with deadlines here in mid-March as well. So those are kind of the three things that I'd say are important for people to know about right now.
So basically, anyone can attend OneSpark. Tell me a little bit more about this. So anyone's allowed to come and view projects and enjoy the festival. So tell me a little bit more about about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is free and open to the public to attend. It's a very family-friendly atmosphere. We have a number of folks that show up with baby strollers, and we have a number of folks that show up with field school kind of like field trips, school trips. And then we have a number of folks that show up that are coming, for kind of corporate different reasons and things like that. Free and open for folks to attend. The Speaker Summit is ticketed, and those are available as well at onespark.com. And it's a really low fee for a number of wonderful speakers that are coming out to share their ideas, their talent, their wisdom, their trials, tribulations, and lessons learned this year.
Now, are there other special events that take place around the festival that the festival goers should be aware of?
There's a few. We've talked about the Speaker Summit, and I think that's something that is tremendous value for folks to be able to go to and see on Tuesday the 7th. In the evening, we've got a great local sponsor here in Brumos that is actually putting on something called OneSpark After Dark. And it's really where all of this creative energy flows out into in the evenings. We've got international bands that are coming in from Berlin, and we've got some folks that are coming in and playing local, and that happens all throughout the festival. And then the other two big things are the opening and the closing ceremony. This year we've got one of Rolling Stone's top 10 bands to watch, Echo Smith, that's playing a free concert right in downtown Jacksonville for everybody during the opening ceremony on the evening of April 7th. And then we'll have a closing ceremony on the 12th. So, that's kind of a good way to get the full experience, is to start at the Speaker Summit, wrap up with the closing ceremony the following Sunday, and just have a really good time at OneSpark.
Yeah, take me through some of the other speakers that are coming through the Speaker Summit. I'm looking at this on the website and stuff. I mean, you got some pretty impressive names, but give a plug for some of the speakers that are coming out to the summit at this event.
Yeah, well, I've mentioned, Jeff Hoffman of Priceline, Tamara Mendelson with Eventbrite, one of the Sharks, Damon John. And then we've got a number of other folks that are really, really a good blend. Maya Penn is a young teenage entrepreneur herself. We've got some folks that are coming down here from Forbes. We've got some other folks coming down from New York that are in the crowd equity investment space of Ryan with Seed Invest, people that represent and write for Inc. magazine. So it's a really, really solid lineup for the speakers. And a ticket, it's only $95 through the event. So you can get that online. You get to participate in everything and have a really good time.
Oh, we've got about a minute left, Elton. So real quick, before we go to break, what are the dates of the event? And also, real quick, where people can get more information and contact you if they need to be.
Sure. Dates of the event are April 7th through the 12th this year. It's in 20 square blocks of downtown Jacksonville. Easiest way to find information is to go to onespark.com. You can also find us on Twitter at B1Spark, on Facebook, on Instagram, all the different social channels. For those that are interested, check out onespark.com, check out the Speaker Summit, register to be a creator by the 25th, and we look forward to seeing everybody here in April.
Sounds like a plan. Elton, thank you very much for checking into the show, and that sounds like an amazing festival, and I'm sure many of the listeners will be up there checking that out. Thank you very much, Elton.
Thank you.
If you're just tuning in, you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring-type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Call 1-800-260-8939. That's 1-800-260-8939.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Recently, I was reflecting on my career, my cases, and all of the families and people I've met along the way. When I was in law school at the University of Florida, I had a real desire to help people and decided to practice personal injury work after I saw the help my brother received when he was paralyzed in an accident at the age of 18. My firm is now over 20 years old, and we have represented hundreds of thousands of people. I have met you in the hospital after a devastating injury on the job. We have met in my offices after a medical mistake resulted in an injury or death. I've been to so many homes, thousands, and sometimes, unfortunately, sat at kitchen tables and consoled families after the sudden loss of a loved one. I have traveled this journey to justice with so many of you. And remember this, I'm not just a lawyer, I'm your lawyer. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Offices Tampa.
She didn't just visit the sick and poor. She moved in with them because they needed help. Mother Teresa couldn't do it all, but she gave her all. Compassion. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center.
US 19 is still shut down in both directions at Harn Boulevard. Also, Roosevelt Boulevard still has one lane blocked eastbound after US 19 because of an earlier crash. Serious crash still on Belcher, just south of Bel Air. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Uterwick Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line 866-545-9595.
Winds, Weather Center forecast. The high today, chilly, mid to upper 50s. We'll eventually see any morning rain start to clear out. We'll see partly sunny skies, windy conditions today, and a cold overnight into the mid 40s. Impact Radio, 1250 winds.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Winds WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Hello again, everybody, and thanks for staying tuned into That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. I want to go ahead and bring on my second guest for the show. Sarah Asofte is a branding strategist who creates story-driven campaigns for foundations and double or triple bottom line companies who are making a massive social impact and want to let people know. She has produced and directed more than 150 Storio videos internationally, from citywide message campaigns to global satellite TV network shows, and recently directed a music video which was officially nominated for Video of the Year at the 2014 Canadian Gospel Music Awards. As chief imaginator at Ska Media Productions, she also occasionally doubles as an on-screen talent. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here.
That's quite an impressive introduction there. And so tell me a little bit more about yourself and Ska Media Productions.
Well, boy, where do I start? I got started in media production over 22 years ago. And it was one of those things that I never dreamed for myself. You know, sometimes people, they grow up thinking, oh, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Yeah, that was not ever on my radar as a kid. But in my early teens, I had the opportunity to become the teenage TV show host of a Christian satellite youth program that broadcast worldwide. So I did that for a couple of years, and that's how I got started in media. And then later on, ended up working and doing an international internship at a branch from the same broadcasting network that I had done that show for, but that one was located in central Russia. And my parents lived overseas, and so I got to do a media and film internship.
So you're a
over
world
there.
traveler.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that yesterday with one of my guests. He thought I was a world traveler because I spent some time in Puerto Rico, and I was like, no.
Puerto Rico's cool.
It's cool. It's a vacation spot, but yeah, outside of the East Coast of the United States, I really haven't seen much of the world. I've been over the West Coast a couple of
Jamie,
times.
we got to get you around.
No, I don't leave the East Coast too much. I'd like to.
You need to.
Yeah.
You need to. Can you imagine how much stuff you would have for your radio show?
Oh, it'd be
with
awesome.
all that travel.
Yeah, I know. My work kind of keeps me planted in this area, So,
Right,
but
right.
and my only traveling usually is centered around some event or something I had to go for.
We
work
need to
or
get you
something.
some international events.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we got to do.
That sounds
yeah,
like a plan.
I've had the pleasure of going. Oh my God, I'm trying to. My goodness, try to.
If you worked in
figure
a number
out
of countries, I mean, what other countries have you worked in?
The United States, of course, Canada, Russia, Australia, the UK, some places in South America. I think something like 4 different continents. I've actually worked in 7 countries and travel for fun or humanitarian work or just pleasure and vacation, something like 40, if I count all of the islands and territories and the different ones.
Oh, very nice. I bet you got a lot of
fun.
stories and stuff.
I do.
Very
I do.
nice. Now,
It's a lot of fun.
Now, you mentioned in your intro that what does it mean to be a double or triple bottom line company? Explain that term.
This is something that I hadn't heard of, even though these were the types of people that I was always interested in working with and always looking forward to work with until after I started my own company. And of course, any company, what's your first bottom line?
First bottom line.
First bottom line. What is your bottom line?
Your net income?
Your profit.
Your profit.
Your
net
profit.
income, yeah.
Your profit. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at having more than one bottom line, every company, every organization, every foundation, every cause, the first bottom line is what they're bringing in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're for profit, then what's left over after you pay all your bills from what you bring in.
Right.
A double or triple bottom line organization is something, it's an organization, I like to call them companies with a conscience, or companies that also have a cause. They're organizations that value and measure their success based on more than just profit.
Okay.
Of course, that doesn't mean not measuring your profit. It's not in place of measuring your profit. But people who have a double bottom line would measure profit and their impact on other people.
But how do you stay in business if you're just measuring your impact?
Well, here's a good example. Have you ever heard of the company Fashionable?
No.
Okay, it's a company out of Nashville, and I was listening to a podcast a while back with their CEO. His name is Barrett Ward, and he was talking about how, as a double bottom line company, they work, of course, to be sustainable, to have good business practices, and to turn a good profit. But they do it in a way that does not destroy their community, that does not negatively impact the world around them. That one of their driving core values is to be good, not only to the people that work with them, but to the people around them, who are the people who are buying their company, buying products from their company. And so what they do, they create fashion for women fashionable clothes that you would actually like to wear if you saw it in a boutique. Not the kind of thing that you pick up internationally and you're like, yay, this is a souvenir and I have no idea when I'll wear it or where. Mm-hmm. But they create fashionable clothing that you would love to wear if you saw it hanging on a rack in a fashionable store. But it's made by women who have no other opportunity for any other job in these countries in Africa. So they found a way to create a viable, profitable business, and they're just booming right now. But do it in a way that they can also measure the impact on people. If you're a triple bottom line company, then that third bottom line would be the environment. Doing things in a way that is sustainable and that does not damage the environment. And a lot of that comes down to knowing your core values. What drives you as a company? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to make your bottom dollar, no matter who you damage in the process, or do you have bigger values than that?
So would it be safe to say that you work with companies that have a conscience? Then you're looking for people that are interested in more than just the bottom line, as
Absolutely.
so many entrepreneurs are. You're interested in working with people that want to make an impact on the surroundings as well as the environment. Correct? Is that a safe assessment?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've found through my own journey of crystallizing my own values that if I don't stay in alignment with my values, then after a while I can't live with myself. So I want to be able to live with myself. I want to be able to look in the mirror and respect the person that I see there. I want to work with people who have that same driving desire.
Tell me a little bit about some of the companies that you have worked with and why what you enjoyed most about working with them.
That's a really great question. One of the ones that I've really enjoyed working with is the Florida hospital structure that's here in Tampa Bay. They have a great message and desire to impact the community as a nonprofit hospital system. We did some of their marketing campaigns and some of their patient testimonial videos for the last 3 years running. That's one of them. Another one is a franchise that I've worked with that is another medical company that just happened to be, and that's called Koala Sleep Centers, and they're taking their franchise national on how to use dental treatment to reverse or eliminate sleep apnea. They are saving people's lives. It's a viable business. It's a hugely profitable business. They're cutting edge technology, and the guy who owns the franchise is, at least last time I checked, he was like in the top 3 providers personally of dental treatment for sleep apnea in the United States.
Okay,
so these are people that are running a great business and not hurting on their bottom line for profit, but they aren't willing to sacrifice their values to get there.
Now, you're a brand strategist, so I want to make sure the listeners understand what it is that you're doing for these companies. So define, if I were to hire you to work with me as a brand strategist, how do you position myself as a company? What are the services that you're offering as under Scott Media Productions?
Right. I usually get clients one of 2 ways. Either they see some of the videos that we've done and they think, wow, video is sexy, video is something that we really like, we need video. And so they come to me and they say, hey, I want to make a video. And as I talk to them, I explore their values, their driving structure. What is it that motivates them? What are they looking to communicate? Because any video that is going to really effectively tell their story, it needs to dig deeper. And you need to know that deeper why. And so I do an assessment with them and discover what it is they really want to communicate in this visual asset that they're creating. And typically, I find out that they need an overall, a lot of people think, oh, I have a logo, I have letterhead, I've got a brand, I'm good.
Some business people don't even have that. So.
Well, that's true. But, but a lot of people think branding, I've got a letterhead, I've got a logo, I've got a sign outside my door, I've got a brand. No, your brand is your user experience. It is all the little details. Here in Tampa, you ever been to the Oxford Exchange?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
So they are a phenomenal example of a brand that is executed down to the smallest details of the human experience. When you get from the moment you walk in the door and the whole experience, to the food, to the service, to the time that they bring you your it's not a receipt yet before you haven't paid to it. I'm just completely blanking. Yes, they bring you.
They
bring you your bill inside an antique book.
Yes,
every single detail. That is all their brand. It shows what's important to them and what they value. So, when I work with these companies that say I just want a video, I help them explore all the areas of the human experience that they really need to improve in order to make this video worth something.
Now, tell me about a little bit more about the music video that you directed last year.
That was super fun. I got a chance to work with this incredible young international female artist named Naomi Streamer. And she recently moved from Canada to Nashville. Right now, I think this week she's touring in New Zealand and Australia. She just goes all over the world. And she's a Christian artist that had this song that had been nominated for Best Pop Song at the Canadian GMAs in either 2012 or 2013, and it was called What I Know Now. And when I was working in Nashville, I was on location for a completely different project, but she and I got connected through some mutual friends, and we became good friends. We started hanging out together, and we kept talking about how awesome it would be to do a music video together. And as we looked through her songs, and all the pieces started falling into place to make this music video possible, we decided to do this song because it told her story. In essence, it was a way to tell her brand. So we had this fantastic time shooting on location in Atlanta and in Nashville. And the end result was that it got a nod as a nominee for Video of the Year at the Canadian Gospel Music Awards last fall. So that was extremely exciting. But the process is what I get really excited about, because Naomi is the kind of person who has articulated her values very clearly to herself. And when you know what you stand for, it makes it really easy to know what to say yes to and what to say no to. And Naomi went through a period in her life where she didn't really know which things to say yes to and which things to say no to. And during that period of time, she was pursuing a secular pop career, and she found herself kind of sacrificing some of the values that she'd had as a Christian. And during this period of time, she's facing just blowing up huge success. She's called the next Celine Dion by Billboard magazine. She's on the front page, on the cover of Billboard, as she's like across Canada. And she got to this point of turnaround where she had to decide what values mattered most to her, and she walked away from it all in order to stay true to her values. So to be able to tell that story and flashback in this music video was an extraordinary experience.
Well, that's quite an impressive, thing to have on your resume there. The video, what was it? What Canadian Gospel Music?
Canadian Gospel Music Awards. It was one of the nominees for Video of the Year.
Congratulations on that. Got to take a quick break, but coming back from the break, we'll be talking a little bit more with Sarah, a soft day of Ska Media Productions. And if you're just tuning in, you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business.
Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage want you to experience the thrill of one-day underwriting and the comfort in knowing your loans will be clear to close in record time. While the competition looks to a lost closing date, Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage focus on their 12-day clear to close. They do this by utilizing their world-class operations staff to underwrite your loan within 6 hours, process your loan in 12 days, and have your loan closed in time. Underwritten in 6 hours, cleared to close in 12 days. Bud Spriggs and Movement Mortgage.
Tampa Bay weather is a roof killer. That's why when getting your roof done, you want it done right. Hi, I'm Jamie Meloni of the Jamie Meloni Real Estate Show. When considering a new roof or repair, talk to Westfall Roofing. They've been installing high-quality roofs in Tampa Bay for over 25 years. Get a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 855-99-ROOFING. Find out what already 15,000 satisfied customers already know. Call now, 855-99-ROOFING. That's 855-99-ROOFING.
Are you in need of new flooring or ready to tackle that home remodeling project? Then contact Yeager & Company Incorporated, a family-owned, state-certified general contracting business with over 70 years of experience and the recipient of the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 8 years in multiple categories. Yeager & Company comes to you with their shop-at-home flooring sales service, and their hardwood flooring refinishing is the very best in the Bay. Kitchen and bath design featuring American-made, well-born cabinets, and all work is done by employees, not subcontractors. Learn more at YeagerFlooring.com. In the market for a reverse mortgage? Contact Access Reverse, a local company with personalized service in the Bay Area. Call them at 727-347-0305 or visit AccessReverse.com for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. They'll come to your home and speak with you about the best options for your reverse mortgage. Plus, they offer the lowest closing costs. Don't just get a reverse mortgage. Get the right reverse mortgage with Access Reverse. Visit AccessReverse.com. NMLS number 4566.
This report is brought to you by iHeartMedia.
Looking for a way to increase your business? Ever thought about advertising on radio? iHeartMedia can customize a campaign to meet your specific needs. Call 844-BUY-RADIO. That's 844-BUY-RADIO. Or go to iHeartMedia.com.
From the Bright House Network's Traffic Center.
US 19 is closed at Harn Boulevard in Tampa. Nebraska Avenue is closed at Hannah Avenue. Pinellas County serious crash on Roosevelt Boulevard eastbound at US 19. And in St. Pete, watch out for a crash on Gandy Boulevard at Oak Street. See traffic problems? Call the injury firm of Abrahamson and Uterwick Hillsborough Traffic Tip Line, 866-545-9595.
The clouds will clear out and it will be windy and cool with a high only in the high 50s today. Mostly clear tonight and chilly, the low getting down to 37 with a wind chill advisory after 10 o'clock tonight. And tomorrow, sunny and cold, a high of only 54.
You're listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni on 1250 Wins WHNZ. Once again, here's your host, Jamie Meloni.
Welcome back, everybody, to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, where business becomes show business. Learn more about the show over at TampaBayRadio.com. Currently talking with Sarah Asofte of Ska Media Productions, and I know you have an upcoming book coming out, and you're also big in the with blogging, and you talk about living with one face. Tell me what this means.
Which part? The book, the blog, or living with one face?
Living with one face. I mean, you touch on it in a number of places, so let's talk about living with one face. What do you mean by that?
Well, that's something that, this is a term that I actually coined while I was in the process of writing the early parts of my book. One of the things that, if you've been listening so far, that listeners will have picked up on, is that a huge part of who I am and what I do centers around clearly knowing and articulating the values that drive you, whether you are a community leader that is assessing those as, for your personal life, or you're a business leader or a leader in your industry and you're applying those values-driven operation to your business. So as I was crystallizing how I take companies through this, and especially when we do video production and video-driven branding campaigns, I kept thinking about how to describe it. And at first I started talking about how, it doesn't matter what box you're in, if you're at work, if you're at play, if you're traveling, if you're at home, if you're at school, if you're at work, in your career, hanging out with friends, you should always be the same person. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have a public life and a private life. What it does mean is that you don't have a different set of values that governs your public life and your private life. That you don't become a different type of person who would do different types of things, that you don't have a different set of what makes you decide between right and wrong, depending on who you're with and what you're doing. If you know who you are, what you stand for, it's like this internal compass. And that is something that at first I was thinking, so you live in no matter what box you're in, but I love not putting people in boxes. I want to encourage people to and companies to think outside the box. So I said, oh man, it can't be, like live in one box. That sounds terrible. and I realized that if you're not true to one set of values in both public and private, then one of your faces is lying. And there's an incredible amount of stress, whether it's corporate or individual, that comes with maintaining a lie or multiple lying faces, instead of having a peace of mind and peace in your soul that you are the same person.
That's a good point, because I think a lot of people in corporate America have one face in business and they have a separate face in their personal life.
That is so true.
And it's just, it's just the way business is. I mean, you got to kind of elevate yourself to a different level to compete in this dog-eat-dog world. And so you stress, living with one face, and you try to bring that out in the marketing campaigns that you develop for your clients.
Yes, absolutely. And not just in the marketing campaigns, because the marketing campaigns, the branding campaigns, these messages that we create videos for, those will only go so far if the human experience interacting with you or with your company breaks down once they see that campaign, and then they are brought into your business. And if the experience is completely different than what you said you were advertising yourself as, then you just proved yourself a liar, and the trust is broken. So there's this sense of betrayal. And when you experience that as a consumer, it goes deeper than just, oh, that's too bad. If there's a business or an individual that you trust, but say a brand that you've trusted, they've always said that they're natural and healthy and they're focused on being sustainable and they're organic and all of this, and then you find out that behind the scenes they're like full of GMO everything, and their stuff is produced in factories with child slave labor in another country or something, and they've been lying to you all this time, there's this deep sense of betrayal that goes beyond if you were loyal to that brand. And so when we talk about creating branding campaigns for companies, we take it a step further. We don't just say, okay, here's a nice slick marketing campaign. We work with them to make sure that their values reflect on the inside what they're marketing to people on the outside. And this can apply in a large corporation or just a small home business.
And you take them through a process also for helping them discover their core values, correct?
Yes, absolutely. That's actually something that's going to be available as a giveaway later. I'm working on getting those things ready to go, those materials ready to go for giveaway, but that'll be a giveaway on my website.
Okay. And that's ScottMediaProductions.com.
Actually, that will be on my blog site. Okay. So that is over at www.sarahkasafte.net. And I have a funny last name. It's a little different for most English-speaking Americans. So let me spell it. www.sarah, with an H on the end, SARAH, K, Asafte, A-S as in Sam, A, F as in Frank, TEI.net.
Now, we got a couple minutes left, so tell me specifically, how do you help organizations discover and take ownership of their values, and how can they make that apply to their message?
That's a loaded question that takes so much time when you're working so directly and closely with these businesses. But the short answer is that once you've gone through the process of discovering and articulating, writing down your values, we work with organizations to figure those out. Then you have to step back and realize that these need to be carried out in every aspect, internally and externally. And that has to start with the leadership. If the leadership is not willing to put themselves on the line, to be vulnerable, to be willing to really stick their necks out and say, I am committed to live by the values that I expect to see in my company, then you cannot ask anything more of your employees and your teams. Because if they see the leader of the organization just looking out for number one, if they know that the leader, he or she doesn't have their team's back, if they're purely driven by self-interest, well, your team is going to imitate that as well. And you're going to have a hard time keeping the really good people on your team because they're going to be driven away by that sense of conflict.
And I'm sure you've come across a number of challenging clients working in this space that share those same values that you hold so near and dear to yourself and everything. So
absolutely.
Speak to me a little bit about dealing with that. We got about a minute left there if you want to touch on that subject a little bit.
Oh my, let's just say that I'm going to stay professional on that, and I have learned that the best thing to do is to apply the values that I tell other people that I urge other people to establish. I have to apply that to myself and my own company. So if people are not willing to live by the values they project, we can't do business.
No. Understood. And we got about a minute left. So Sarah, real quick, go ahead and give one last plug for what you do and how people can get in touch with you.
Awesome. Well, I would love to hear from anybody, Tampa or elsewhere. My company and my team works across several states and sometimes internationally. We create Hollywood quality videos for brands and organizations, whether you're a foundation or a for-profit, that want to make a massive social impact.
And the best sites was the one you just gave also. And what was you also? Are you still ScottMediaProductions.com
yes,
also?
Our company site is Ska Media Productions. That's SKAMediaProductions.com. And that's where you can see all of our video production portfolio work. And my personal site is sarahkasafte, ASAFTEI.net. And that's where I blog.
Well, great interview, Sarah. Thank you very much for coming in the show, and some great information. And we'll also get that up. We'll also get that up over on the show recap over at TampaBayRadio.com. If you're just tuning in, you've been listening to That Business Show with Jamie Meloni, and again, you can catch my show on here weekdays at 8 a.m., where I am promoting the entrepreneurial spirit that drives the American economy. Learn more about the show over at TampaBayRadio.com and connect with me on all the social media sites: Facebook.com/That Business Show and Twitter Jamie_Meloni. I'll see y'all back in here tomorrow at 8 a.m. on That Business Show with Jamie Meloni.